May all your dreams come true. Sing together. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday celebration. All night we feel the vibration. Lights are bright, we feel it on right. We're dancing till the morning light. Happy birthday celebration. Everybody get the temptation. Once again, this is your night. And everyone feels like happy birthday. Happy birthday. Thank you so much for listening to me here on another episode of Keeping in Touch. There's so many things going on here and in the world, but we have to just give God thanks for everything, and understand that better days are ahead. You know, as I come here every Saturday, I do a little bit of reflection on the week. And I know that I've gotten a multitude of calls, inboxes on Facebook, people reaching out, asking how they can help. And so I want you guys to know my contact information so that you can reach me. We have a email address for my campaign, and it is Friends of Elizabet HW at gmail.com. Friends of Elizabet, H for Hansen, W for Watley at gmail.com. That's my email. Also, you can reach me at 340-201-0639. It's best to text that number so that I don't miss it and I can call you back. 340-201-0639. I want to shout out all the organizations that have been sending me invitations. Definitely shout out to Nicole Tyson, who is doing another great event this weekend on Sunday, where they're going to have a golf tournament to raise monies for our young people to be able to aspire and attend college. This is something that she's been doing annually. So I will be down there supporting that event this Sunday. I want to shout out my crew down there at the Blue Bamboo area, the old drive-in down in Grove. I know on Sundays you guys do the cricket, and I got an invitation to come down. I will definitely do my best to get there one of these Sundays. Every time I come out there, something occurs and I have to dash. But shout out to you guys at Frontline, welcoming me there as well. I appreciate the love and prayers and support. I love when you guys walk up and say you're praying for me, you're wishing me well on this journey, and you're spreading the word. I appreciate all of you for that. Let's see. This is the problem when you don't have notes, because you just forget. But shout out to all of you that see me on the road over there by Quality Groceries. Child, every morning you guys hailing me up. Hey, Senator. I appreciate your love. I have to big up places like A+ Signs. I got big up Five Corners gas station. I got big up oh my gosh, Mini Mimosas. You guys got my signs up. Wanda, big up to you over there in Richmond. Big up the barbecue pit in Richmond. Big up Mr. Rogers, Edwin Thomas, underneath the Tamran Street by the old legislature. Big up Emily's Restaurant. Vivian Everson from Ebby's, Emmett Hansen. The list goes on and on. The General, of course, and the whole crew, Leo, Esdel, Dennis, Mr. Hansen, the banner and sign crew. I know you guys are seeing those banners all over the place. They've been out every night making sure that we get the word out that I am a candidate for the November election for senator, and I just appreciate the honking of the horns, the prayers, the emails, the texts. I'm getting invitations all the way
from St. John to come to forums. I will be appearing at the first official forum that I will be in Frederiksted, down at the Caribbean Museum on August 26th. So that's the day after we draw the lots. Drawing of the lots is August 25th at the Board of Elections. And then the very next day we'll be down in Frederiksted. That's where you will see me at that forum. We're confirmed for that. Um, from my recollection, it starts at 6 p.m. in the evening. And so I am welcoming you guys to come out and support. I am excited, elated to be able to showcase what I have to offer and hear from other candidates as well. So I look forward to that. I will be there front and center. So if you guys want to come and see me, have your questions, whatever the case is, that's where I will be. Um, it's just amazing feeling to feel supported and loved and given kind words of support. I have to big up the crew down in the Frederiksted Hotel where they serve breakfast. I had a great breakfast there last week, Sunday. I got big up Calvin down in Spratnet. I have to big up the whole American Legion family and auxiliary family in the territory. I have to really give kudos. Y'all have done an amazing job and continue to do an amazing job. Um, there's so many people to thank as I walk around to the different locations. And, you guys are running me down and asking me for posters and stickers and so forth. And so I am moving as fast as the good Lord would allow me to move. I had to reorder more posters and stickers. And I just want to say thank you, to everybody. Thank you so much. Um, you know, Sometimes people just align family with being blood relatives, but I really and truly feel like you all are my family because wherever I go, no matter how I'm feeling, you guys come out, you pat me on the back, you give me a hug, you give me kind words, and just keep me going. Even send me prayers every day and every night. I see the prayers. You guys even stop and pray with me sometimes. Yesterday I was in a grocery store and you guys shared scriptures with me and everything like that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I get a phone call this morning that there's a water issue going on at um, what we like to call Safarali Water IM Hajj. They're having issues with water. I don't know exactly what the situation is, so I don't want to get too deep into speaking about it, except for to let y'all know that's taking place, and I would really love for someone to look into it, contact me, let me know what's going on. But that is the report I got this morning. So I'm trying to, while I'm here, um, put that word out there. Please, somebody, let me know. Send me a message, um, and give us an update on what's taking place down in Frederiksted. I know that we're in the midst of a drought, and I would encourage everyone to get buckets. We know how to do things here. I mean, we've been through it all. So please try to get your buckets. And that's not just for the drought. We're in hurricane season. Try to get additional water saved up. I mean, I remember growing up, and my parents would fill the buckets and leave them in the restroom, um, you know, or in your shower, your tub, whatever you need to do. Just capture as much water as you can because you never know what could happen. Some of you have children, you got bathe yourself, but in addition to that, you may have other people living with you, young children, babies, and these kind of things. Try to get extra pampers, wipes, canned goods. You might want to look into filter systems and all of this kind of stuff, but everybody don't have it like that. So try to get the basic necessities things getting tight all around the world, not just here in the Virgin Islands. And we heavily rely on imports. So keep that in mind. Let's do what we have to do. Thank God. We had a sprinkle of rain this week. God has been working with us because let me tell you, outside has been hot. Buenos dias, Michael, my cousin in Puerto Rico. Hi, good morning. Debbie, good morning to you. Annette, morning. Yeah, so you have to be on top of things. You don't wait for anybody to try to assist, although we would love for that to happen. Gather up your water in your buckets and get a little cover and preserve your stuff. Either drop a little thing of Clorox in there, make sure it's nice and fresh, nothing to burn up your iron. So just to keep the water nice and fresh. So we have to be aware of the times, we have to be prepared. So everybody knows we're in the full swing of the election cycle. And so we're going for it. I am happy to see that people are ramping up. People are campaigning and asking for your vote. I am one of those. And I tell people all the time, if you don't see a need to go out there and vote, just consider that it's not just for you, it's for your community. If you want to say you want to see good in your community, you have to participate. You got to be a part of the solution. Otherwise, you're the problem. So in that vein, you should be ready to go out and do your duty as a part of this community. For you, your children, your friends, your family, your community members, it's a collective effort to move this place forward. There's a lot of big things happening and that are coming to the territory. A lot of people have their eyes on our territory as the world becomes increasingly harder to succeed, and people are seeing the benefits of coming to our islands and the resources that we have, the paradise that we live in. And you can't knock them for wanting to be in paradise. We have to understand that we need to preserve our paradise. We need to keep it clean. We need to be safe. We need to have proper housing, education, and healthcare. Those are the things, the necessities of a good environment. And so we can't just leave people to the wayside and neglect them. Seniors, I will say it again, that's a big deal. After you done put in your time and you don't have proper resources and health care, people are dealing with mental illness. We talk about a lot of people that we see on the roadways. Many of them have mental illness. They need medication, they need resources, they need a safe place to sleep at night. And it's a taboo subject we don't talk about. A lot of people are functioning out here once they have the proper care with mental illness. But we have to be able to address it and give them that support. I tell people we are surviving here with PTSD. Every time you turn around and something tragic happens, we live in such a small community that all of us feel it. And we have to be carrying that burden of that loss, and sometimes depression, whatever it is. And so we are human beings, and we need the resources. Pushing that can down the road is just not an option anymore. And I look at other areas that may have had disasters and so forth, and they've been able to bounce back, even if they've had prefab facilities built to expedite the time of rebuilding and so forth. And so we need to look outside the box and come up with not just solutions, but implement the solutions. I'm in a position now where, people ask me, why would you leave your job to pursue this? It's not a for sure guarantee. You won't be making the money that you were making at your job. You don't have the security and all that. I've heard it all. And I say, this community has been good to me, to my family. This is where we have grown for generations. We have been through, even the transfer from Denmark to the United States. We've been through the slavery. We've been through the other side of trying to figure out who we were when we became U.S. citizens. We've seen the changes as a family, as many have put in the work, cut the canes, to working in the offices, to building this place up. And I would not, it wouldn't sit right with me, um, to just stand by when I believe that I have the skills to assist my home in improving and moving forward, to just sit by and criticize and not be a part of the solution. So, my simple response to that would be that I have the skills and I'm not going to give the skills to some other location, leave home and let home suffer or fall from grace, because I want some sort of money or some sort of accolades or anything like that. Those are the things that are important to me. You know, if you talk about being in front of a camera and being seen and all of that stuff, I've been there, done that. I think many of you know that I have been in music for a while. I have been an artist. I have been a promoter for many years. I worked alongside my mother when she did the biggest concerts in the Virgin Islands. So I've been trained and have participated in that life. So that is, having to shine up is nothing new to me. That's not why I would want to be in the legislature. Um, you know, as the face of the legislature and all of that Facebook stuff. Um, the focus is on the people of the Virgin Islands and improving the quality of life in the Virgin Islands. It is one thing to say you live in paradise, but paradise needs maintenance. Paradise needs support to stay uh, identified as a paradise. You know, I have been to many different jurisdictions, not only in the Caribbean, but in the wider world. And so I understand home differently in that a lot of people talk a good talk. A lot of people do. And then when you travel and you see and you come home and you realize how good you really, really got it and why they call us America's paradise, it hits home differently, because even in the States, you see the pictures, you see the videos, and you think, oh my God, wow, look at all that they have and what we don't have. And when you get there and you walk on the street right behind where they were filming, people are living on the street in tents and can't find food and heavily on drugs and a whole 9 yards. And you start to realize that you have been watching something that has been put together for your entertainment. It's not real. And I boast all the time. And I tell people, if I'm hungry, I could go get a plate of food. I could get on my little car, beef and rice, and go on any beach side, some of the most beautiful beaches in the world, a few minutes away, and eat my lunch. If I need to decompress from a stressful situation, I go on the beach side for free, eat my lunch, and I go home, go back to what I need to do. And then every place you can do that. And don't let people tell you, oh, sun, and beach in every Caribbean island is the same. It is not. And though we find ourselves to be small by square mileage, um, we're big in other things. And we're great in other things. We've changed the history of the United States. And while we don't even uphold and acknowledge it the way we should in our territory, there are other jurisdictions that have seen the power that comes out of the Virgin Islands. Whether it's arts, entertainment, sports, politics. We have changed the dynamic of this world, and I would love to be a part of continuing that legacy, because oftentimes we hold on to the most negative things about who we are based on a few bad apples, and we negate the fact that we have survived a multitude of trials and tribulations, whether it's natural disasters, dips in the economy, the whole 9 yards. And so I would always be a proud Virgin Islander. You ain't gonna change that. And that doesn't mean I can't call out Virgin Islanders when I see something wrong. And that's what I want to talk about today, because I see that we are in an environment where if you acknowledge the shortfalls of something, someone, um, that automatically means that you're tearing them down. No. I believe truly in it's not what you say, it's how you say it. That you can respect someone and disagree, agree to disagree, and move forward collectively. This thing about if I see that you have done a mistake and I call you out on it, that means somehow I want to see you fail. Quite the opposite. If I wanted to see you fail, I would not bring any acknowledgement to your failures. I would let you fail and fail and fail and fail, and then I let everybody else talk about it. But if I want to see you do better, I will tell you. Especially on a certain level of government, you would know every single thing. That's why even in our administration, governors have their commissioners, assistant commissioners, deputies, directors, managers, and so forth, because you need all the support you can get. The difference is in the choice that you make for the leadership that is going to be your support. Are they going to tell you the truth? Are they going to be diligent about finding out what's taking place to address matters? Is it that they're more interested in looking shiny to everybody and looking like they know what they're doing? And there is a difference. And so, if anybody comes and critiques me about anything, I take it as you did that in love, and I'm going to take on what you're saying, and I'm going to try my best to correct whatever it is that I am falling short in. And I think that we need to get back to that and put our egos aside and the pettiness aside. Because at this juncture, while not only the Virgin Islands is changing, the entire world is changing, and we need to be solid in our decision making. We need to know what direction we are going. We need to understand that everybody needs to be on the same beat as far as moving forward, not just a few. Everybody needs to be able to live comfortable at home. Last night, I gonna tell you, I almost did not make it here this morning because my power went out. I don't know what time it went out, but it didn't come back until 6 o'clock this morning. And you could see you get wet from head to toe. Let me tell you, I was having a whole panic attack because I am, it's funny because before we used to be accustomed to these things because it was so often. And then we get a little spoiled because it stopped happening like that. And then it went to, okay, you're going to have rotation and this and that. Let me tell you something. Last night I was in panic mode after the first 2 hours. I said, wait, something ain't right. But I stay up all night. I ain't gonna lie to you. I stay up all night. I was like, wait, something serious going on. And when it's 6 o'clock, Juge, the pod come on. I said, oh my goodness. And it just reminded me of not only with power, just in general. We really don't know what people going through. I could sit down now and think about, okay, I got the relief. I don't know if everybody got the power back at the same time, but just feeling a little bit hopeless that I couldn't change it, Um, I couldn't imagine people that can't get food in the fridge, how that feels. I mean, I know how it feels because I have, just like everybody else, had tough times. But at this juncture, with benefits being reduced from the mainland, with having those men and women that have young children. I remember those days, and sometimes you only get enough for the kids to eat. And then waking up this morning and they're saying they don't have any water down. Um, in Walter I am Hodge and seniors, the amount of seniors that live down there. And I'm just, everything just started falling down one time in my mind. I'm worrying about not having some power, and I don't know if they had power last night. I'm hearing that they don't have water. I don't know if they didn't have power. I don't know what their circumstances as far as food. You know, not everybody owns a fridge. Some people rely on coolers and putting ice, you know, to cold in medication and so forth. I've seen that with my own two eyes going around with my mother to different communities and seeing how people were using candlelight. You know, you wouldn't believe some of the situations some of our very neighbors are going through, but they don't talk about it. Um, and I know that we're very prideful people, and oftentimes we just grit and bear it and we figure it out. I've heard of the days where people used to take onion and chop them up and put them in the pot. So people think you got big meal cooking because onion when you fry it, you got a nice scent. And all you have in there is onions frying. To, leave the impression with your neighbor you got a nice meal and that's all you have. So I am not a novice to knowing the plight of people. Um, I remember going around with my parents. Um, I think that might have been after Marilyn. And we were bagging food to distribute. And as young as me and my siblings were, my mother sat us down and she taught us how to pack a bag of food, what items we needed to put in there. She explained it to us. And we sat down and we packed for hours and hours and hours. And then we went out. Somebody brought a truck and we were in the back of the truck. And, she would come out and ask. And then she saw a female, do you need sanitary napkins? Are there any babies in the house? We have Pampers and wipes. And to this day, people come to me and they say, I remember when y'all came around and brought food when nobody else didn't bring food and clean water. And, I sit down and I reflect now about things like that and how, in this atmosphere, a lot of times some politicians would say, well, that's my job. And that's not what we're here for. And this one's supposed to do this and this one's supposed to do that. And I sit and I say, thank God that not everybody has that mindset. Thank God that I was able to experience that you really should, not that you have to, but you should care enough to put certain things aside and understand that in a crisis, all hands on deck. It doesn't have to be that you're being paid for it. It doesn't have to be that you get some compensation or some credit for it. Or everything has to be a post, to get you some kind of highlight. Sometimes you just do for people, This summer I did a summer program. It was last minute. I rushed to do it because it was heavy on my heart when I was going around, and some mothers and fathers were saying they didn't have the resources to take care of their kids during the summer. They work full-time jobs, children out of school, they can't afford summer camp. And I sat and I spoke to my dad about it. And I said, you know what? I saw mommy do this. I saw her pull resources, hustle and get summer camps together free of charge to make sure that young people had a safe place to be. They learned something. They had a meal. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna figure this out. And so, you know, we went out, we figured it out, and we started putting out an announcement that, you know, we had this location to allow for families. It didn't matter what you were making, no salary, we ain't checking any of that. If you need some support between this and that age, we're here to help. And they came, you know, and I had such an amazing experience with those young people, you know, and I was quite inspired by them, because even sometimes when you might feel like things are hopeless, it only takes for you to have a discussion with a young person to realize all of the imagination and possibilities that they have when you have them from like 8 years old. And we as adults haven't tainted them to the point where they feel like everything is a fantasy and you can't do this and you can't do that. And they're really dreaming about the things they can do. And being able to teach them about their culture and history, about the different continents, about all of the things that they should be aware of, the importance of who they are individually and collectively, and just see them be inspired. And you know, the eyes open up and they ask all these questions. Miss Elizabeth, so we can vote for the president of the United States, and I have to go through that with them. You know, tell them about the US Constitution, tell them about the, you know, Bill of Rights, you know, impart on them the Organic Act and the whole 9 yards. And they're just like, I want no more. They wanted to understand how this go, you know, and just saying, oh, but Miss Elizabeth, this isn't fair. And I say, you know what? You're right. And sometimes life isn't fair, but that doesn't mean you can't change it. That doesn't mean that now that you understand how serious it is to participate in your community and how you could change the entire world with an idea, now that you're, you know, in understanding of that, you are charged with doing something. I want to see you do something. I want to hear about what you would do, how you improve this place. I had them drawing, I had them learning about the states and the abbreviation for the states. I had them write letters so they could understand that if your computer ain't working and you ain't have this AI thing, I want you to use your brain and show me what you could do. You have all of these skills. You don't need a computer, you don't need a cell phone to think. And when we were done, you know, the biggest thing for me was the smile on the face, and they gave me such a tight hug when they were leaving. Sometimes the parents say, hey, they want to sleep in here with you. You know, I am encouraged by their enthusiasm to be great. You know, they asked me, say, so Miss Elizabeth, so people have the ability to vote after all of this happened and they don't vote? That's the part that broke my heart. Because even at 8 years old, they understood the importance of participation and what they should do collectively for the betterment of where they live. And so for them, it wasn't a question as to if they should or shouldn't participate. And it was why those who have the ability don't participate. And while we could call 1,000,001 reasons why people feel defeated and why they don't want to participate, they should still participate. We all live here. We all live here. And for those who cannot, for whatever reason, vote, you still could spread the word. You could still encourage other people. You know, you could still go out there. Some of you may not be able to vote, but your children can, your cousin, your friends, your, you know, co-workers, and tell them, listen, if y'all really want something, not just a change. I hate when people say, I want change. What does that mean? Tell me what you want. You want things to be better. You want a better quality of life. You want better resources. You want to be able to go to the doctor and actually be seen. You want to go to the hospital and be able to come out of the hospital without spending a lifetime in there. You want that your veterans have great resources. What do you want? Don't just say you want change, because change can mean worse. I want tangible, positive changes where we can have great resources that we can boast about. Having the best healthcare in the Caribbean, having the best resources for veterans, having the best schools. That's what I want to hear. When even the Bible tells you when you speak, the power of the tongue. Manifest positive things for this place, because we often only speak negative and that festers. And that is why when you keep sitting down and saying the young people don't participate, it's because we, as the older ones, disenfranchise those young people. We told them that everybody's a crook and nothing gonna change and nothing can be better. So don't waste your time. And now that they have learned what we told them, you try to say, oh, it's they don't vote. Oh, they're so violent. Every time a child is born, you get an opportunity to impress on them being a great part of this society. And every time you see one of them fall off the train, just understand that you need to own that we had to do with that. Whether you shun them, whether we didn't think we should have invested in them, we didn't open any community centers for them. When they said they were being violated or victimized, we didn't listen to them because we don't want the embarrassment. We don't want nobody know this one touched that one. I mean, there is a load of things that we contribute to, but then we throw them aside when they make a mistake. We decide that, we just don't want to be bothered with that problem. Put them under the jail. And so now that you have created the problem, you don't want to address the solution. When I was working for LEPC, for those who aren't familiar, that's the Law Enforcement Planning Commission. I was in the area of juvenile justice delinquency prevention. At the time, there was a board, and the board would make decisions about how these places, like YRC and the cottage, are regulated in certain ways. We had to, in my position, I would go and do inspections and so forth. When I had came, though the board was making decisions, they had never actually been to the facilities. And when I heard that, I made it my business to facilitate them going to the facility that they were making decisions about. And let me tell you, the ideas that people had were very much drastically changed once they actually saw and witnessed the facilities. And I'm going to tell you this right here and keep it in touch. I don't believe in calling out in a youth rehabilitation center. It has a negative connotation to it, and you ain't really rehabilitating anyone in the way that we would call rehabilitation. Just like we talk about you're going to Golden Grove and participating in certain programs. And it's not because of a lack of willingness for people working in the facility to do such things. It's more of we need to create an environment where these young people feel like they're loved, that people care about them, and we want to see them succeed. If I want you to act like an animal, I will put you in a cage. If I want you to thrive and aspire to go get a trade or go to college or whatever else, become an entrepreneur, I'm going to put you in an environment where you can thrive. So if it was up to me, I would change the whole situation. Make it a youth success and achievement center. Let's start with the name. Youth Success and Achievement Center. This will allow already for the negative connotation associated to be removed. Then you go and you set up dormitories. I will set it up like a college campus and make sure that if a judge has to send you to such a facility, you understand that you ain't gonna just sit down there and waste time. That we're going to provide. At the time I was down there, they were having about, I think it was English and math. They weren't having all the full subjects at that time, but that was a while back. Make sure that we set it up in a way where they pick up a trade. You want to send a young person down there, okay, they're required to be able to leave. They need to finish the certification program, pick up a trade to leave, or you're gonna get your diploma, whatever it is. But this thing about just, putting people, moving them around, what is Golden Grove, what is this and that, you have to be aware. Just like anything else, I have a background in criminal justice, and it's plainly published everywhere. So putting a death sentence is no deterrent for no criminal or anybody who has been put through a system and found to be guilty. It's not a deterrent for crime. You think people commit crime thinking they're gonna get caught? They know there are consequences to crimes, but nobody commits a crime hoping to get caught that they're in the right mind. So we know, those of us who have a background in criminal justice, that's not a deterrent. Going and legislating to give them more time or to find more ways to criminalize people does not correct any kind of practice. There are certain things, yes, that may curb behavior, like if you don't wear your seatbelt and I catch you not wearing your seatbelt, you will get a fine. Okay. But heavy crimes, oh, you take somebody's life, you're gonna get a death penalty, for example. That's one of the first thing the teachers, you could say what you want. Most people that commit crimes, they don't think they're gonna get caught. So you could say 5 years, you could say 50 years. Hey, if that's what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do it. It's human nature. So I'm not a proponent of just criminalizing everybody just for so. Yeah, I pass this bill and I criminalize this person. Okay, then what's next? I heard about someone having an idea that they wanted to, if you were caught, I guess, stealing or mishandling government funds, that somehow you were going to lose your retirement or whatever pension you had. And while I see the idea the senator is going with, here's the part two, or the backstory, or another aspect of what you should be thinking about. This is just Elizabeth talking. What about the person, let's say this individual has a wife and children, right? They have worked, earned their retirement, they came back, they're working in a different position and all of that. They get in some sort of trouble, they get prosecuted, they are doing their time. You decide to pass a law that says that they lose their pension. Mind you, they done that in jail, So the judge don't give them their sentence and they're serving their sentence. You're saying that in addition to whatever the court system has assigned to them, that you're going to take the pension that is taking care of their family and their children. So here it is. I am a wife, and my husband make a foolish decision that caught him up and he went to jail. But I ain't walking away because I am a homemaker. I am a at-home mother. He has been the breadwinner, and so it's been me and the children. You saying by passing this legislation that I gonna have to be on the street because me ain't getting no benefit out of what the household is supposed to get and what the children supposed to get. So we on our own. So we are also paying for what that individual did. That is the same thing like saying I am the mother of said child, and because my child broke the law, me as the parent gonna solve the time along with the child. You see what I'm saying? You have to look at things all around and understand that we want to over criminalize people, extend to the family, the offspring, the grandchildren, the whole night. We got to really think about what we're doing. We really have to think before we affect people's lives because it has fallout. And I tell people that's why this job is not, and I'm saying calling it a job of being a senator or a governor or a lieutenant or what or anything else. You really have to take yourself and your egos out of the equation and think along the lines that what you do really changes people's lives, affects, and it might negatively affect people that you haven't thought about. What would you think is going to happen if the crisis now falls on the family? Like I said, nobody commits a crime in their right mind thinking about getting caught. And if you're prosecuting that individual, fine, they're the ones that did the crime. But you're going to prosecute the entire family by taking it that extent. Here's another thing for me. I might not like you, but I'm going to change the rules because I don't like you. So while you may have done something egregious, if you prosecuted, I leaving it there. I ain't gonna prosecute you, your child, your grandchild, your cousin, your friend, and all of that. We have to have some sort of idea that everything has a limit. This thing about trying to legislate who can be a senator and who can be a governor and these kind of things, come on. Especially when some of you got some things, and like I say, they only call you criminal when you get caught. But that don't mean you don't have criminal behavior. Watch what you say and the things that you do, because judge lest he be judged. Many of you wants to throw the baby in the bath water, and you got your own things going on. I am not going to sit here and over prosecute anybody and their families and the cousin and all kind of thing because I don't like you. And it's been something that a lot of you seem to want to do, right? And look at where we are now because of the foolish mentality. Oh, me want to employ that one because me like their grandfather do this to my grandfather and all of this nonsense. Same thing on the streets. People getting killed for beef that going on before they were born. Over a block that the government own. Then we tell children, be better and do better. But we are the example. We are the example. So every time I hear about a death, I hear about a fight. We see all these children fighting. Oh, they this, they that, them criminal. We got everything negative to say. Y'all pull in them children and see that they need some mental assessment. Why do you feel that even when an adult or authority figure is in your presence, you continue to swing your hand? You looking to punch that person too. So you don't see that you and them different. And why would they see that when you operating like the children? And I'm talking in general. In this community, we have started to operate like there's no difference between us and the children. That's why they could talk profanities to us back and forth. You arguing with them, they arguing with you, and are using the same language. The two are you partying to the same party. No difference in age. Then you say, oh, that one fast and this one force ripe. And who do it? The children didn't raise themselves. So we have to really self-reflect on where we are and the things we want in our community. I remember young people, they might have said profanities, but when they saw an adult, they be quiet. They want you to know they cussing. Not now. They can't speak a straight sentence without using a profanity. When that became a normal thing around here. You have to maintain certain standards. We're getting too lax. I shouldn't go to a grocery store and the grandchild cussing the grandmother, hurry up, you all this and that. And what? And people afraid to say anything because that ain't my child and I want them hit me. And all of us live here. And you see this thing about ignoring bad behavior, it'll come at your front door, you know. If God allows that child to grow, and then when they come out in the community and they are beasts, because that's what we allowed. We didn't want to correct them. Then we turn around and we start to critique their parents and this and that. But you sit down there, you didn't say anything. You didn't say anything. But then they come and they shoot your family, or they rape somebody. Now you know the bad behavior, you know. Everybody keeping it quiet. Then you want ball. Then you want to string them up. We have to do better as a collective community. We need to participate. We need to, when we see wrong, we call it out. If I see you fling a bag of garbage out your window, I gonna blow the hand and let you know I saw you throw that out. Please come pick it up. If you have a party down to the beach, pick up your garbage. If you see somebody in need, okay, you might see a child not tidy. You figure out something ain't going on. Maybe mommy don't even own an iron. Maybe they don't have any other clothing. You don't have to make a spectacle and put it on Facebook. You could come to that person. Hey, can I have a discussion? Who is mommy or daddy? I want to talk to them and offer them some assistance. Everything ain't about a pat on the back and a heap of likes. When I do things out of my heart, I don't go and tell the world about it. You know, yeah, you might, if somebody say, okay, yeah, I want to take a photo of you, great. I'll share something like that. But I don't have to tell everybody who I helped to have a hot meal or some water or a bar of soap and some deodorant. I don't need to go and announce that. Greetings, John. Keeping in touch.
Greetings.
Good day.
Paradise Saturday.
How are you?
I am feeling great to have another sunrise, but it is hot.
Yeah, it's really hot.
And the sun goddess is just kissing me to see my color.
Wow. Okay, you got a nice tan.
Oh, beautiful tan.
Oh, great, great, great. You know, I was telling my children the other day, I saw one of them putting on sunscreen. So I said, what are you doing with sunscreen? So they tell me, you know, the medical field has said that, you know, even people of color need sunscreen.
That's right.
I said, wow, but you know what? I read about when skin cancer became a thing in the world, and you know that it coincides with when they created sunscreen.
But
so
you need protection from the UV.
Well, let me tell you something. I am of the belief that if you got a melanin, you could take some sun, and when you start to get burned, you run into the shade.
That's right.
Yeah.
When I attended the Driver, University of Louisiana,
Mm-hmm.
and I would go back, come home for summers and return. Oh wow, it was a complete change in color.
Wow.
The
Okay.
car with chocolate, baby.
And I love, let me tell you something. I love to see that. It's like, wow. Man, I remember I was up in the States with my mom, and so many people were stopping her. You know what they wanted to do? They wanted to touch her skin. And I was like,
Mhm.
taken back by that. And they just couldn't believe how smooth her skin was, and they liked the
Actually,
color.
yeah.
And I said, Ma, I don't know why me get this nice melanated thing. I mean, it's crazy that, I think about colorism and all of that. And I've had a lot of people come to me and say things like, well, you wouldn't know because, you got a color and you got them features and this and that. And I say, that's the education that a lot of us have to believe that certain features are European or certain hair texture are European. And that's not something that we've been taught. But if you know and you've done your research about Africa, people come in every shade, every texture of
Mhm.
hair, every eye color. It is such a phenomenon for some people. They ask, what you mix with? I said, I mix with black and black. And they said, no, no, what you really mean? I said, black and black. But those are the things that people, and that's why you look at where people are raised, their background, the experiences they've had, and you get to educate yourself about a lot of things too. But yeah, I love that nice warm color, and then when you go in the sun, man, boy.
Well, we're blessed here,
Oh yes.
but it's a drought, and we have to exercise some caution.
Mm-hmm.
I just heard an announcement from the Water and Power Authority.
Mm-hmm.
They're having some water issues,
Yeah, I
terrible water
spoke about
issues.
that this morning. I heard that Walter I am Hodge is one of the locations
Yes, they're
having
working
issues with
on it,
water. Okay, great. I'm happy to
but
hear
they're
that.
advising people to not at this time be washing your vehicle
Ah,
because the more demand for water, the worse the situation will become.
yeah, so we gotta be careful.
So you have to conserve.
Yeah, I was telling
So
everyone I know when you're growing up and stuff, even like hurricane season, we would capture water in buckets and cover them up. Try a little thing of Clorox in it and keep it fresh and cover it up, because we knew that the possibility of not having water was real.
mhm.
And I'm so grateful that we had a little sprinkle of showers not too long ago. Thank God, in the middle of a drought, we had a little water come down, but oh man, the heat is something else. And let me tell you, last night my
So,
power went out till 6 o'clock this morning, and I said, Lord, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. So I could just imagine our seniors and stuff,
yeah,
you
I
know.
think power went off by me, but I didn't. I guess it was when I was asleep, but I suspect the power was off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It came back.
But
Well, in my area, it came back 6 o'clock this morning.
I heard you mention night tuning about throwing out trash. Well, did you see the video of taking in St. Thomas
With a
where
taxi driver.
the taxi driver
Yes,
next
yes,
up
I
pick it
saw it.
up?
And as a board member for the taxi cab um commission, not to be confused with the taxi association, two different things.
Okay.
Um, it angered me as a Virgin Islander. It angered me because we are trying so hard to maintain a level of quality of life and struggle, and it's the little things, man. We can't fix everything, but the little things. How dare you throw your trash out on the road like that, man? You don't care about this place at all? And then you
No,
got
see, I
enough, the
tried.
person got enough to say, My friend to come and clean there every morning. So your friend no use the reason they have to come and clean every morning because you dashing your garbage out there.
Shameful.
Goodness, man. I said, no, no, no. That's not how we do things here. You come, you make the Virgin Islands your home, you care for it just like any place else. I just couldn't believe it. And then she
That's
back
why
and
we
forth
highlanders,
arguing. I would have been so embarrassed, you hear me? She back and forth arguing with the person that catch her. I would have sure shut my mouth, get a bag, pick up my thing, and go about my business.
I know. She was busted red-handed.
Red-handed. I'm gonna say, well, my friend has come and clean here. I black people as make mind you, she black. Make a big deal out of everything. I said, well, my God, this what we come to?
But like she said, deal tomorrow, I mean, Monday, my understanding is the matter of Southland Gaming and Ronald James Racetrack.
Yes.
That deal is going to be voted upon. And I'm hearing a lot of opposition from people here in St. Croix, which is usually the case. Any negotiated deal, anything to do with St. Croix, most of the opposition comes from St. Croix, just like with the Diatrocracy. But I would say this, no deal.
You have something ringing? It's coming out loud in the phone.
Let me turn it off.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
No deal is ideal. But if you have no deal at all, nothing at the table, and let's say that all the senators decide they're not going to vote in support, you're going to end up with both sides walking away from the table empty-handed. And I hear people talking about you have to go to the table from a position of strength. But when in the government are always strong, ever strong, because there's always a deficit. Always a deficit.
You know, I listened this morning to another show that discussed because I was curious as to you know, I know that the governor, the senators, and it seems like a few representatives from the horse racing community met to work out the initial deal, work the kinks out, is what I would say. At this point, you know, I was wondering what the opposition was. I did hear someone this morning say having the exclusivity in St. Thomas um, gave them a benefit, and then coming over here where we have two casinos that have kind of been um, keeping employment and so forth going in St. Croix, to now have to compete with them is what his issue is. Now, he was speaking for himself, but I don't know if that was a general consensus or whatever the case is. But we'll see what takes place with many controversial legislation, and in a political year, sometimes that makes a difference.
Yep, it does.
And so we'll see where that goes. But all I could say is, I hope that the people of the Virgin Islands benefits from whatever decision made. That's the only thing
But
I could
I hope that always the two sides and concessions have to be made, compromises,
Mm-hmm.
and the senators are put in a position, it's either yes, no, or abstain. They don't have the opportunity to renegotiate or amend.
Right.
I mean, remember when the DRZ, how controversial that was?
Oh, yes. It's still
And-
controversial.
Yeah, it still is.
Yeah.
And in the end, all I could say is for the senators, regardless of what side you choose, do your research, weigh action, consider consequences, and don't be concerned so much about whether it's going to win you votes.
Well, you can say that all you want, but we know that's gonna be on the top of their mind.
I know.
And the next
I
thing
know.
is, yeah, I heard you say yes, no, or abstain. That at this point, that shouldn't even be a part of the equation. You should know whether it's a yes or a no.
Well, you know it's going to happen. You know, just one or two.
Well, it's a good time for the people at the Virgin Islands to see who got a muster and who don't. You know, who have
But
the muster and who
regardless, like I
don't.
said, if you oppose, propose. If somebody got something else, because if you walk away with no deal at all, everybody leaves the table empty-handed. So it's very difficult for the senators, but don't base in my opinion, they should base their decision on whether they think they don't get their votes or not.
Well, you know what? They give away Water Island for 99 years. So at this point, nothing ain't gonna surprise me. I could tell you that. It ain't gonna surprise me either which way it go.
I would be surprised.
You would be surprised.
If most of the votes don't come from St. Thomas. That's what would surprise me.
Oh well, we know how that goes.
About the money.
Well,
show me the money.
Well, the thing is, St. Thomas side has already, I mean, their side of what's gonna benefit them is already locked in. So I don't see why they would be opposed. And here lies the difference in districts, but that's a whole nother ballgame.
Thank you, I know that's a long conversation.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Because with this thing about district and senators don't have their own budget. And it's one treasury. 2 voting districts, 1 treasury. Everything goes into one pot. And you know there's always the perception, because I don't know for sure, that the capital gets most. They get the lion's share.
Isn't that ironic when St. Thomas could fit in St. Croix how many times? St. Thomas, St. John, and Water Island. It always blows my mind because when people ask me where the capital is and I have to explain, and I tried not to get too deep in it, because really, 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 we're the only place that you see the bigger island is not the location for, well, let me not say the only place, but yeah, it's kind of like automatic that they say, well, where's the Capitol building and this and that? And I said, well, we have a government house. However, the capital is not in this island. And they're like, what? And it's a whole talking point, let me tell you. But, and that one of these days we'll talk about how that even occurred.
Okay, I know time is of the essence, but one last issue I want to bring up. That challenge to the law, Title 48 of the U.S. Code, that stipulates 2 separate paper ballots.
I saw that one making its rounds.
Yeah. The law is outdated, obviously. When the law was enacted, that was back in 1926. They didn't dream then that we would have the type of digital technology that we have today.
Correct.
So you need a law to keep up, to be updated. It is not feasible to have 2 separate ballots. Because with a tabulator, first of all, you give the voters an option. You could take both ballots, or you're going to decline one. And that could throw things off, because they might say, you know what? I want to get in and out. Just give me the one with governor and senator.
Yeah.
Just give me the other one.
That's true. And we know that that's going to happen. We know that there are some people that are going to
voting on the machine, the touch screen machine, there's no paper ballot, it's a printout. You can't program it to have two separate ballots because it's digital, it's electronic. And so definitely I appreciate the battle going to court because we need to have a ruling and we have to force the issue.
But the thing is, the court system is just to clarify, the law. So if the law needs amendment, I mean, it needs an amendment.
It needs an amendment. And that's why we need to have our own constitution. Because every time we have to run to Congress, we can't amend the revised organic act ourselves. We need our own constitution so we could have the ability to have amendments to a constitution. And the back and forth and the delay, it's just crazy. So I just want the matter to be clarified because some people are thinking that I am supporting violating laws. No, laws are sometimes outdated. They're not applicable for the time when they were written. Example, it says in the revised organic act, the governor must reside at government house and St. Thomas. We know that's not feasible today, but the law is still on the book. And they still put it in the fifth draft. They put it in all the previous drafts. Now, I don't know about the sixth draft, if that's still in there. But I'm putting it out there. Y'all need to think about these things before you submit this document. Consider that the residents of where the governor should reside, and consider this law that said two paper ballots because it makes no sense in today's times. We just have to realize how fast this digital technology. In Louisiana, this guy installed a camera back in 1990s in his tenant bedroom and bathroom. And it was discovered he was watching the person, a female tenant, and dress and do other private matters. But he couldn't be charged because there wasn't no law in the book about voyeurism. There was no law. So the technology has to keep up with, the law has to keep up with the technology. The technology is like 10 steps ahead of us.
Right.
And that's what we have to keep in mind. A constitution is a living document. What was applicable then ain't applicable today.
Well, talking about that and election laws, so I was notified that based on the law, my name is too long to appear on the ballot the way that it would be properly spaced and so forth.
Oh, yes?
Yeah, so on the ballot, what is going to happen is that they're going to have to put my both last names together as one name. And hopefully you all won't get confused. But again, because it says that you're limited to 22 characters, and that includes the spacing of the name. Now, usually the standard that I have seen when it comes to using letters is 25 characters. But that just shows you that something that we think that is something small and minute could make a big difference in how we elect people. Just like when we spoke about, there was once a law in the books about pictures that appear on the ballot, which they never did. And then from my understanding, they basically removed that law, but never complied with it before that. And so, like I was saying earlier, we have to be very careful about things that we put in place because while we think that it's something small, they have big fallout. Now, the senators addressed other things that had to do with electioneering and all of that other stuff. This year, However, this ballot situation that has now found itself in court was not one of the things that they addressed. And so you have to think about priorities too. Now, this election is only a few months away, and this situation is in court. You see what I'm saying? So, what ruling could be done that would not disrupt? See, all of that gonna come into play. The timing of this, the ballots are already being ready. They're not having enough time to split it. If they said that the law says two, but we don't have time, does that legitimize it then because it's still against the law? There's a whole host of things that could go wrong. You know?
Well, the whole bottom line that I see is this. It's a political stunt. Okay? Politics. Get all the media attention. You don't have to take on a campaign ad.
Well, we know every election cycle something comes up.
Well,
this is just 2026.
That choice is theirs. I don't knock people down for whomever they choose to support and vote. All I have to say to people, it's critical. Be a part of the solution. Participate. Let your voice be your vote and your vote be your voice.
I'll let you run on that one.
Have a beautiful, blessed day.
You do the same. Thank you. Yes, I did not realize that my phone was going off because there was no sound. I'm sorry to you guys who are calling before you can call back 340-773-0390, 340-773-0490. Blessed Saturday. Good morning, Liz. Good morning to you, Elaine. How are you? Luis Rodriguez, greetings. He says, I am so saddened to see all these kids fighting in complex and school just started. What is going on with these youngsters? Tony Lewis, greetings to you. He says, you're correct in everything you're saying, but this generation looking to be friends with their kids. I think that's part of the problem, honestly. Yeah. Nancy Paulino, good morning. Elizabeth, Hansen, Watley, lot of blessings. Thank you. Many blessings to you. And condolences again. I know you suffered a loss in your family. Elaine Hansen, morning. Good morning, Marcus Norman. Greetings, Ann Williams. Good morning. Michael Williams, good morning. Annette Evelyn. Debbie. Etienne, good morning. Karen Henley, greetings to you. Ralph, good morning. Karim Edwards, morning. Monica, greetings to you, family. I see you guys on live stream as well. Greetings to you. Can't make out those names, honey, but I am too far. But thank you guys for joining me. Numbers again, 340-773-0390, 340-773-0490. So, yeah, we know every year that there's an election, there's always something that takes place. That is just the norm of what happens. But I'm hoping that they could find a resolve for this problem soon. And let's get to business. But I just have to say, those of you who sending me messages about these posters that gone up, thank you. Yes, the crew, like I said earlier in the show, they have been working diligently every evening, and I totally appreciate them. We're getting out in the neighborhoods. Those of you who have been sending me messages, sorry if I haven't seen all of your messages, so many messages in this Facebook stuff, but you could text me if you want to come out with us, canvassing 340-201-0639, and we'll get you locked in. I know you guys have been leaving messages. I heard I even calling tourism. I am sorry if I ain't getting all the messages. I am here, and you could send me a text and get in contact with me, or you could send me an email at Elizabet, friends of Elizabet HW@gmail.com. Friends of Elizabet, H for Hansen, W for Watley at gmail.com. I was saying earlier that because of the law that states you can only have as much as 22 characters on the ballot, my name had to be adjusted. And so when you get your ballot, you're going to see Elizabet. There's going to be a space, and then Hansen Watley would appear as one name, but there will be a capital W in there so you can make that distinction. And I'm hoping that none of you get confused with that. I'm trying my best to let everybody know that's what's going on, and that is why they have to print it like that. Um, but yeah, we're going to still push forward and do what we have to do, get the word out, and make sure that you guys are fully aware. I am excited because we're finally going to get our number on August 25th. We're going to be drawing our lots and we get our number, and then we go full force from there. August 26th, I will be at the Caribbean Museum down in Frederickstead at 6 p.m., where they're going to have a forum, a political forum down there. And I am more than enthused to be a part of the process and let you hear what I have to offer and hear the other candidates. And I look forward to it. So you guys come out, support, um, and hear about us down there. Uh, like I said, I've gotten invitations all the way from St. John, and I'm looking through and seeing how I could best navigate. As some of you know, I did have a loss in my family, and my first cousin has sadly left us, um, Donna Pickard, and I have been avoiding talking about this because it just gets so sensitive. The last time we spoke, we just um, shared kind words, and she was so supportive of my running for office and pushing me along and saying, "Don't worry about getting in a fight with them people. I gonna fight for you. Don't worry about that. You just run your race." And to get the news that she's just gone just like that was a heavy one. So I am working through that process, but she is going to be laid to rest soon as well. So it's going to be a few things happening next week, and I'm just sending condolences to all other families who are dealing with the loss of loved ones and friends, family, you know, um, even people you just know. It hits all of us differently. Some people think because you're not blood related that you don't have a heavy feeling of grief when somebody is gone, and that is absolutely not true. So I'm just reminding you that all of us are in this together, and sometimes you feel lonely. Some of you call and talk to me about that. You share, you know, um, maybe not having family, relatives around to give you that support. But I have to remind you that God is always around. Whether you see him physically or not, he is always there. And so you're never really alone. And you just have to remember that, um, people often ask me how I deal with the loss of my mother and the loss of my little brother. I lost two brothers and my mom, in addition to a host of other close relatives. For the past 4 years, it's been like aunts and uncles, and now first cousins. And as you get older, you get to understand that life isn't as you know guaranteed as we thought when we were younger, and you start to hold on to and cherish people in a different way. So for me, dealing with grieving is something I do by remembering good times and positive things. And so while some people might think of a loss of somebody and get sad, I think about that person, I think about a joke they might have, said, or a funny thing that may have happened. There's some people that were so full of life when they were alive that it's hard to accept their absence. And so for me, they're not absent. It's like I know what you would say no, because we had that kind of relationship, and I would laugh about it. Or if somebody asked me, "Oh, what you think Chucky would say about this?" I would laugh. People didn't realize my mother she was very comical. She would laugh about all kind of things, and she was not somebody that would ever be bitter or keep any hatred about anything. So people would think like, why that woman has to be strong, they gotta do all this, they do all that. It's because she didn't take it on in that way. Very heavily focused on God and in her belief of God. And so for her, this is just a passing thing. Whatever negative thing happened, it happened and she move on. You could be vexed with her today. By this afternoon, she offer you a meal. It wasn't a thing she just carried. And you have to really have that mentality to do this kind of work, because if you stayed upset with everybody that told you something that, you know, um, bruised your ego, you ain't gonna have no longevity in this with any good relationships. It's gonna be very lonely for you if you make it that far. To think of being upset with everybody, being bitter with everybody all the time, that is a very tedious thing to deal with. It sucks a lot of energy out of you. Me, you do me something, I ain't saying I'm gonna forget, but to say I'm gonna sit down and plot and think about it every single moment of my life, forget that. I might not even remember your name at the end of the day. You have to have really done something that made me take pause and say, wow, okay, you dangerous. I staying far from you. And that's it. But anything else, that's your cross to bear, I promise you, because I ain't carrying it. You have a problem with who my mother is, you have a problem with my father is, grandfather, great granny, uh, you know, hey, what can I change about that? And do I want to change who I am, who my parents are, what family history I have? No, I don't. It makes me who I am. The good, bad, and the ugly makes me who I am. All of us are human. You know, I learn from the mistakes. I thrive off of the successes, and I understand that I am blessed, and so I stay humble about it. And that's how I live my life. It's the strength that you see don't come from me. God put me here for a reason. I listen intently and I follow the course. That's it. Now, I understand also that there are people that may not want me to be successful, and I'm fine with that too. I hate you for that. I understand that all of us ain't gonna always agree. And that's your right to feel the way you feel. I never understood people that have an animosity towards someone not liking them. That is their right. I mean, you don't have to like anything in this world. Now, I would be interested in why. Is it something that has merit? Is there something that you could bring to my attention or something like that? That's the part I would be curious about. But as far as hating you because you don't like me, I no. That's your energy and your cross to bear, like I said. And I think that we get too caught up with that type of mentality. So many people I see with so much great potential have lost their way because of a distraction, because of a jealousy towards somebody else that being successful, because they're measuring their success based on somebody that has nothing to do with their life. You don't know what people went through to get what they got. You could speculate, but you really don't know. You don't know what happened in the back room. You don't know what occurred. But, oh, they do this and they do. No. How about you do for you? Do for your family. Do for your community. Don't worry about what the other person, as long as it's not something that negatively impacts you and your family and your community, let them do what they're doing. As young people, we like to say, well, mommy, this the other day I had a discussion with my children again. Well, I got the book for this and that class and nobody else got it, and so we didn't do this and we didn't do that, and I ain't gonna bring my book because nobody else ain't bring their book. I said, hold on right there. So because they are not doing what they're supposed to do, you gonna decide to stop doing the right thing and do what they're doing? And that's gonna improve your life. How? You really have to talk to people and see what they're thinking, because we often like to lean into being in a group and we don't want to stand out and we don't want the attention, whether it's positive or not. We don't want that. We want to blend in. And you really have to encourage, especially young people, it's okay to be different and stand out and do the right thing because it's the right thing. I want to wear my clothes this way, and I know it's against the rules, but everybody doing it. I remember in elementary school, when I was going to Lumoko, the popular thing was to walk with pacifier on your chain and all of that. So I go now, I get a little $3. I gone in a Pueblo, one of them stores. My parents didn't even know I buy this pacifier, and I got this nice clear pacifier to put on because I see all the girls in school doing it. Then teeth my pacifier and it's big thing in class now because I just get this little bit of change. I just buy my pacifier to blend in with everybody. And here goes my pacifier missing out of my desk. And I saw somebody with a big bacchanal in the people class over a pacifier. You hear me? But it was my way of being a part of the group, wanting to be a part. And I could understand that as a young person. You don't want to be by yourself. You want camaraderie, but at what expense? And so when we see in these young people fighting, stop and ask them the question, what is going on? I promise you, probably half of those kids ain't even really had no issue with this student, but they're friends with some particular one. They come up with a bright idea. We gonna challenge him for his chain. He ain't from our school, and everybody, yeah. And you better jump in. And here we are now embarrassing our parents on video, right? If that child parent man take it far and take it to the police, that's a whole nother ball game you're gonna get yourself into. Over what? A chain that he owns, not even you. How much of y'all, 4 or 5 are you fighting? How much are you could have wear the chain? What was the plan? What is it you were going to prove? He going central, you going complex? What was the purpose of possibly putting yourself in the criminal justice system before you even graduate high school? Over a piece of chain that only one eye you could wear. We are going to pass it around every day, somebody get to use it. We have to talk to our young people about making decisions. You know what I was telling those children that were 8 years old? I showed them a documentary on Netflix, and I'm going to come back and give you all the title next week. So I don't have it in front of me. Of this 9-year-old girl that went into a grocery store in the States, and she was shot in the back of her head for stealing orange juice that she didn't even really steal. Being accused. She had the money in her hand and she was shot down. Right? I showed them the documentary. They got very somber. And you know, sometimes we hide things from young people because we think they can't understand it. But what we're really doing is not preparing them for real life. Because in showing them that, I was trying to impress on them that it doesn't matter how old you are. When somebody sees you as less than a person, less than a human being, is because they can rationalize treating you illy because you're not a human to them. And so that girl was 9 years old and she was gunned down for nothing because the perception was that the black kids steal and they're not worth anything. And then I fast forward and I showed them it happened the other day, this year, and it's been happening. Then I showed them how this young high school student that was defending himself against two bullies got more than 27 years in prison after trying to defend himself, and the perpetrator died within the interaction they were having in a fight. And I said, you see that? This is a young, aspiring, athletic child with his whole future in front of him, but they criminalized him and they tainted him and all of this. And now this week, after they done prosecute that boy, now you're hearing the backstory about the brothers who were bullying him, the racial slurs they were using, the documented incidents of them beating up and harassing other students. All of this was prevented from coming into the court trial when that said individual was being criminalized on every news station you could find because of the color of his skin. So we need to really get real with all our children. It doesn't matter what race they are. Because on the other side, you not opening your child's mind to the realities of life puts them at a disadvantage. I remember going to schools like, let's say, I went to almost every public school. I'm saying I went to Lumokol, I went to Paul D. Larson, I attended Elena Christian, I went to St. Joseph, I went to Good Hope School, I went to Central High School, you name it. They see me there. Okay? And I remember going to Good Hope School and being so self-conscious because at the time there were not a lot of black students there. And I think there was about 4 of us that I could remember. 4 or 5 of us on the entire campus. And I thought that my lips were too big because I looking around and everybody's lips look different. They were very much smaller than mine. So I thought something was wrong with me. And that's why you have to be conscious of the environment you put your child in. And so I would try to bend my lips in so that they wouldn't look so prominent, and watch me doing this for hours and hours every day because I thought I was different. Something was wrong with me and I couldn't blend. Now, mind you, at the time I was so young, I wasn't thinking, well, Elizabeth, you are different. Your skin tone is different. So you worry about the lips and you look completely different from these individuals. But these are the things that happen and the things you think about from very young. And you have no clue. If you don't talk to young people, you don't know what they're going through, what they're thinking, what impression they're getting from so young, right? And now one of the first things people compliment me is on my lips. It's so ironic to me that I thought something was wrong with me because of the environment I was in. And I'm going to share this on here. Some people might get upset, but like I said, I'm an open book. I don't care, right? This is my story. I'm sharing it. People don't know a lot about my personal life because I have been walking with a legend or legends in my parents, and we've done so much community work, and it's never actually gotten to the point where people get to see all the behind the scenes. I tell people all the time, when you see all those pictures and thing I post in for my mom, many of them I took myself. I'm not in the photos, I'm present, but you don't see me in the photos because I'm often the one capturing and recording what's taking place. And anyway, before the end of the show, let me tell you, I had an experience, and people often tell me that I operate like an old soul. There's a few reasons for that. First of all, I enjoy being around seasoned people. I don't call people old because I don't find that to be a respectful thing to say. They are seasoned and mature, and I appreciate them imparting knowledge on me. I love to spend time with people older than me, uh, people that have experiences that I would never live. They could tell me things I would never learn any other way. I couldn't get it in a book. I love that. And so, anyway, aside from that, let me tell you something. I attended Good Hope School when I was very young, probably fourth grade, right? Before that, I was in Pearl B. Larson School. Yeah, Pearl B. Larson. And then I went to Good Hope School. And there was a few things that happened, but this is the main thing. I told you that there was about five of us that I could recall my younger self, black children in Good Hope School. I think most of the other students, the parents either were working in Hovensa. I remember attorney Amelia Joseph's son attended that school as well. He was one of the few that were there. My little brother, um, Erickson, and two others that I knew of, or maybe three. Yeah, but it wasn't a big number. So there was one day they used to have little plays. Good Hope had built a gymnasium, and it had a stage in the back and a whole 9 yards. And I was so excited, although I was a young um, and very shy girl growing up. I was always into music. I was always into writing poems. I was just shy about expressing myself. And so I got excited when they built those stuff. And um, I remember they made us try out to partake in a play. And so we had to sing happy birthday. I remember this like yesterday. There are things that happen in your childhood that never leave you. And that's why I warn a lot of teachers about the things you say to your students. Anyway, I tried out. This is the first time for Elizabeth because, like I said, I was shy. I didn't make it. It was clear to me that I sang better than the person that was chosen. And it bothered me not because I wasn't chosen. It bothered me more because in my little mind, I started to understand it didn't have anything to do with my ability and more to do with what I looked like. And that's a hard pill to swallow for a young person. Then fast forward, I one day uh my parents had been late to pick myself and my brother up from school. We used to do after school care. So we'd be in the little playground there until our parents came, but they were late. And the lady that was there had to leave. It was just us, me and my sibling were the last there. So she took us to the office, said she have to leave, but these two students are still here. And we were asked, what's the best number to reach your parents and this and that. We call this number, whatever. Long story short, I reached my aunt Lisa. She was at home and she hadn't lived too far from our house in Hamburg, just a block away. And she said she'd get the message to our parents and everything. So everything was fine. It wasn't too long after that. Boy, just thinking about this making me so, emotional. Anyway, we were told, I hope they come soon because we will have to drop you off at the animal shelter. I stopped and I looked at the lady and I paused. My little brother didn't say a word. I think he was still in shock. But I got it right away when she said animal shelter. Anyway, we went back and we sat outside to wait. And my mom came and, we walked into the car and everything. And I explained to my mother what was said. Because we had explained at the time that it was a little longer than that. My aunt could not come for us. She couldn't. She had a disability. She didn't drive and stuff. But and I explained that to the lady why my aunt couldn't come. But yeah, she said she would have to drop us at the animal shelter. Well, when Chucky Hansen reached, and we walk into the car, and I explained to her what was said. Because I just, as young as I was, I knew that wasn't right. And she sat us in the car. She said, turn the windows up. The lady was walking behind of us because she was parked on the same side. My mother said, sit in the car, turn up the windows. And all I see is her hand up in the air, and all I know is all hell broke loose. That was my last time attending that school, me and my little brother. So when you think a child is too young to understand that the world would teach them what you want. The world will teach your children what you think they're too young to learn. Whether it's about sex and disease, anything else. And in this day and age where they could just open a phone and find out anything they want from any place, whether it's correct or not. Understand that if you don't teach them, somebody will teach them their version of what they want them to know. Good touch, bad touch. I remember when I had my children, I was so worried about when I should introduce this to my children. By the time I start to tell my children about good touch, bad touch, it's a grandma don't tell us that long time, mommy. I went to my mother. I said, Ma, how you don't tell the children? She said, you were waiting for somebody to good touch, bad touch them before they know what they call? But I was, I wasn't familiar, but my mother understood the dangers of a lack of knowledge and possibilities. So while we think that we are protecting them and we are covering them, you cannot fully protect your children from anything in this world. What you can do is prepare them as much as you know. But that incident changed my entire life when I realized it didn't matter how old I was or who I was. At the end of the day, people are going to do what they want to do. And I could have kept my mouth shut because oftentimes we want to make people comfortable and we don't want to ruffle feathers. But would it have been the right thing to do when somebody would tell two young children that were the minority in this school that you're going to take them to the animal shelter if their parents don't show up now to pick them up? So when you see me and you think you could tell me nastiness and it gonna move me, I have heard some of the worst things you would not believe from small. People make, they don't talk about force, ripen, all of that. Sometimes you're forced to grow up fast. And I tell people don't watch my age, you know. There's a lot of things I could tell you I went through. And there's a lot of things I don't feel the need to share. But I have lived many things. I have seen many things. I have almost died a few times. I have seen death. I have seen babies dead. I've seen adults dead. I have seen blood run in these streets. I have seen the dead and the living. So for me, this ain't new. And that is why I don't think of myself any different than anybody else under this good Lord we have, because all of us are human. So we're almost at the top of the hour. I invite you again to come out August 26th at the Caribbean Museum down in Frederiksted for the forum, the political forum that will be taking place at 6 p.m. Where I will appear. I will be able to share and impart some knowledge about myself. I will be able to also hear what you have to say, what you have to share. I am open to advice. I am open to hearing your concerns, your critiques, whatever. Come meet me there. August 25th, we're getting a number. People keep asking me what my number is. I haven't gotten a number yet. We will draw lots August 25th at the Board of Election, and then I will publicly let y'all know, even if I share it on social media as I get, so that you know, and we will push that all the way to the end. And like I said, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna do the ad. Yeah. I'll let you hear the ad. And I just want to tell you all thank you for coming every Saturday and listening to me here. From 10 to 12, we'll be here again next week, God's willing. I want y'all to take care of yourself, take care of our community. Consider being good and changing somebody's life just by sharing a kind word. I love you guys. Until next time, keep in touch with Elizabet. So, bye.
Greetings. I am Elizabet Hansen Watley. A senator not only controls the purse strings of the government, but advocates on your behalf when you need answers.